soon.
Okay.
Hi guys, so welcome back to the series of my interviews with amazing and inspiring women influencers and entrepreneurs. I love doing this and I decided to continue the show and a TV show. And this time I have my first local guest, Bethany Smith, and I'm super excited and I'm thrilled to have her here. She has a very special story to share. Welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for finding time for me.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here.
So before I'm going to quickly introduce you,
Okay.
as usual as I do, I screw it up sometimes, all those
Okay.
formal names and statuses and all those things.
Yeah.
Bethany Smith, if you guys don't know, she is a yoga teacher, influencer. She teaches at Oxygen Fitness Studio, that's where I met her. She's also a mom to two beautiful girls, and she is married to her high school sweetheart.
Yes.
Now, that's my introduction. I would love for you to tell us more about you.
Okay. I started yoga about 10 years ago. Okay, so my youngest is 9, and I started when I was pregnant with her. I've been pretty active like my whole life, and so for whatever reason, I kind of got out of it a little bit. I gained like 50 to 60 pounds with each pregnancy. I know, like on 5'2", it's not real cute, but so I wanted something to do to kind of stay active, and I was invited to a yoga class. And I went, and I just fell in love. I had a fantastic teacher, and when I had her, I got the biggest loser weight loss yoga DVD. I know. And so with Bob Harper, it was awesome. And I dropped like 30 pounds in just 3 months. It was insane. So I was hooked. I was like, okay, there's something to this. It's not just stretching. And so I just started taking every class that I could. And I quickly realized that what this practice was doing for me on the outside was doing the same thing for me on the inside. Prior to finding yoga, I had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, depression, and anxiety, and really had no way of managing what was going on inside of me, to the point where I attempted suicide. And so it was just a really hard time in my life, and here I was given this gift where, if anything, I could have at least 5 minutes of peace at the end, right? Shavasana. If you guys don't know what that is, look it up. It's our final relaxation, and so I just started with the practice to feel this strength inside of me. I became aware of some of the things that were my fault. Because I think when you're in a space like that, especially with maybe bipolar, it seems like everyone else is the problem. Like if you would just, not be so loud, or if you would just do this, and I think it started to bring awareness to my way of being. And I have to say, I've gone from taking 4 medications to none since I started the yoga practice. But yoga is not what ultimately heals me. I don't have a symptom. I haven't had a manic episode or been depressed in years. And so I'm a Christ follower. I believe that God healed me from those things, but he gave me the gift of yoga to get me to a place where he could actually do that. So that's kind of a little bit more about me. That's how I got into the practice, and I knew that I wanted to share this gift. I knew that people needed it. And so I quit my job as an attorney. No, as a paralegal. I worked for an attorney, and went to teacher training, and that was my mission.
What
practice.
a story.
Yeah.
What a story. There's so many questions like bubbling up
I know.
in my
It's
head.
a lot.
I'm gonna I just want to thank you because you're an incredible teacher. I went to a few teachers. I was terrified of yoga before I discovered you. And that's why I'm really thankful for you in my life. You just came in the right time, and that's where, everybody has their own struggles, and I really appreciate you sharing those because I know those are intimate and very deep things. So what do you think was the biggest challenge for you besides from struggling through helping yourself with medication, what did yoga help you heal specifically, if you can put a finger on it? What part of you?
Oh, my heart.
Yeah.
my heart, my soul. Because I grew up in a Christian home, and I know Jesus. I know about God, and those were a lot of head stuff, for a long time. But what yoga did was just bring awareness. I mean, it got me to a place of stillness, to where, and I know I say yoga brought me awareness, but it just got me to a place of awareness. And when I think you're aware of things, then you have responsibility to either change them or fix them or apologize. We ultimately have the decision not to do anything about it, but that's not in me. That's not who I am. And so I think the biggest thing was the awareness, and then just the opportunity to be still. That's when that awareness, comes.
And I was looking at you. I never judge anyone. I know everybody has their own deep struggles. Everyone, even the happiest people, they own have it. I would have never said that you had such a difficult, I would say, path and so many challenges you overcame. What was the biggest challenge? What was the biggest lesson from the challenges you had?
I think with my, probably in my marriage, I got to a point where I was able to understand, like, if we were going through some stuff, and we had been married, like, we got married very young. We were two wild kids doing drugs and things that were not right before our even brains were formed, and so we jumped into a marriage, and so there was a lot of struggle there. We didn't go to marriage counseling before, which I highly recommend. But it was a struggle, and so if he was struggling with something, and not aware of it, what happened was it brought the awareness to me, like, he's struggling with his own stuff. It's not the meal that I cooked. It's not, the house that I didn't have. It wasn't me. Mm-hmm. And so it was also gave me empathy, towards him. Like, one, it was awareness. It's not me. So I don't have to be offended. I don't have to react. Mm-hmm. I don't have to do anything. But it also gave me empathy. So I can kind of just hold space for him, or, so I feel like that it was in my marriage, where it was the biggest improvement.
And that's incredible, because you continue being with the same person, but you implemented those lessons that, some people don't make it, right, because they're so hard. And I noticed that in classes, and I'm going to connect those two if you allow me, the awareness that people have and the lack of judgment. And actually, it was my biggest personal fear to come to yoga, because I felt like I'm not good enough to do it, so I should not be there. But just the peacefulness and awareness of what's going on with you, you're in your own bubble, and you're dealing with things just about you and not anybody else. And you become way more compassionate and loyal to others. Just almost instantaneous.
And if you've got a good teacher, if you've got a great class, then that teacher will let you know it's not about what you can and can't do in this class. If you can't, people will tell me all the time, well, I don't go to yoga, I can't touch my toes. And I'm like, that's why we go to yoga. And it doesn't matter if you ever touch your toes, right? It's an inside thing. I think I mentioned this in class the other day, like, these poses are just a vehicle to take you deeper inside. It's not, excuse me. Goodness. It's not about the pose, and people will look at my Instagram and be like, really? It's not about the pose? But there was a journey to get to that handstand. There was a lot of fear I had to overcome. There was a lot of, so when you do see that, I can say it's not about the pose, and then if you look at my Instagram, you're like, she's lying. So there's a lot of, stuff that you have to overcome to get to that point in your practice. So,
right. But also, I feel, do you have any irrational fears? For example, I have the biggest fear is probably the silliest to my listeners. I'm going to admit to that. I'm afraid when I'm in handstand, as a CrossFitter, I can do handstands by the wall, but every time I do it in yoga, I feel like my neck is going to just crack in half and I'll be dead.
Yeah.
That's my biggest fear.
Yeah, that's not irrational at all. That's not irrational at all. You talking about headstand?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not irrational because you are on your head. that is a lot of pressure. But with right guidance, and that's the thing. When I'm helping people, like I've got a lady who wants to do handstands, and she's like, I think she just turned 40 or something. She's like, I want to do handstands. But you can see it's all in her head. It's all the fear factor. And so we kind of go through a process of like, why are you afraid? What do you think is going to happen? And so it's not irrational. It's totally normal. Yeah.
Well, let's go back to the thought of doing yoga for awareness, and it's not about the pose. That's kind of, I think it's a deep thought. I really like it. When you're twisted in the pretzel and you're thinking, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong?
Yeah.
What is the most helpful thought you find? Because I think many beginners, I'm a beginner in yoga, so I've struggled with it a lot. Am I doing this right? Can you, Miss Teacher, can you look at me, please? Am I doing this right?
Yeah.
How to have that feeling that you are okay? So one of my friends said that if you're feeling good, you're doing it right.
Right.
But I'm second guessing it because I don't know, type A
That's
personality.
Girl, same. I think it's just coming to a place where it's like, as long as you don't feel pain. And I have to say, a lot of things that feel good aren't always the best. I had a yoga teacher. She was like, well, heroin feels good sometimes, apparently. No one's going to go to heroin. And I was like, interesting thought. And so I like to say, as long as you're not feeling pain, and if you've got a good teacher, she's keeping an eye on students, and it may not be the perfect alignment, but I think especially as a beginner, you kind of have to feel your way into a lot of the things, and as long as you're not in pain, or as long as I don't see you in compromising shape, you got to be okay with where you are. And that's the biggest thing, is what I try to repeat in my class, like, be okay. Like, be okay with where you are. I have a lady who's always terrified she's doing the wrong thing, and I told her to do one of my programs without watching it.
Yeah.
Like, you're not allowed to watch it. You just have to listen and do what you think is, because ultimately you know what the poses are. She does. If you're a beginner, like, look around. If everyone's kind of doing the same thing, like, just make the same shape. And I think people get all in their heads, like, it's just yoga. We try to make it, so much more than what it really is. And it's like, just come as you are and be okay with where you are, but never satisfied to stay there. Like, keep showing up, right? Keep trying to want to improve, but ultimately just being okay with where you are right now in this space. So.
And I think enjoying it, that's a big piece of it, right? Because I notice with yoga cues, some teachers do this, some teachers don't, and I understand everybody has their own practice, and I teach CrossFit to understand that it can be very different from coach to coach. Some people have those cues that are very spiritual and guiding, and some people just move your leg up, point your toes, all those tiny things, details. It helps, personally to me, it helps to have both, because that's what I'm looking to get from my class, to get out of my class. I want to have that zen, pacified feeling once I'm driving away, driving home, right? How did you learn, because I feel like you have such a perfect combination of the two, how did you learn to appreciate that?
I think part of it is kind of a natural gift, to be honest. I do have, I think, just my own innate body awareness. I did gymnastics for a little bit, but so people were like, oh, you must have done gymnastics. And I was like, well, my coach gave me cigarettes, so I don't know how great that was. It was like a year and a half or maybe 2 years of it. But even then, and I can do way more now than I could then, but I think even then, and I cheered, I played softball. I think I've just been very active, and I have just good body awareness. But also, the yoga practice has brought so much to me. It's just made such a deeper impact than just the physicality, that I'm always bringing, that up. Like in the twist yesterday, like, let it go. Like, name one thing. You got to let it go. Let it go. Just let it go.
Very helpful.
And so I just think that, the physicality of it, I feel like I'm just kind of a natural thing. But going through the process of that I've gone through, I've used, the kind of spirituality or the deeper meaning for it.
And speaking about spirituality, where are you headed now in your business, in your life? I feel like it's all blended in for you, and I don't want to make an assumption, but I feel like your life is very balanced and structured. And where are you headed now? Or maybe it's the yoga impression. I know.
I don't know. No.
Where are you taking your business? Do you have anything that is big coming up for you? Something exciting?
I do have some big things coming up. But as far as like ultimate goals and things like that, I have recently taken the Enneagram test. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to take the Enneagram test. And I learned that I'm a 3. And they're achievers, and they value success. And I realized, when I did my first program, I have my online program. It's called Flow to Go. I worked so hard on that thing. It almost killed me, but I finally got it on, and I'm going to work on that thing so much. You get a quarter for every time I say So I learned through that process when I got it all online. I even hired a mentor from Nashville to really help me with the business side of it. I got it all online, and I hit Kajabi Hero within 5 days, which is you make your first $1,000 with them. And I'm so embarrassed to even say this. Like I called my sister in tears, and I was like, I know in my head this is amazing, but I don't feel like it's enough. Right? Like, it sounds so crazy to say. It's embarrassing for me to even admit that, because I'm like, am I just an ungrateful person, but it was a real struggle for me, and I called her in confidence, and now I'm telling the whole world, that it was a struggle for me, and of course I didn't want to feel that way. I knew in my head, I had a mentor that was like, wow, this is incredible, you are killing it, and I just didn't feel like it was enough. So when I took the Enneagram test, that's one of the things for my type. Mm-hmm. And I watched a sermon on it, actually, and the pastor is like, I'm a 3. And he was like, don't trust our goals, man. We'll tell you a goal. And then it's like, that's not enough. Like, it's 10,000 followers. No, it's 20,000. No, it's 30, it's 50, 100,000. And so I feel like where I'm going right now is doing whatever God tells me to do and being content with where I am. So I'm trying, I don't have, which is so odd for me to not have, specific goals. Mm-hmm. So, when I realized that, I was like, well, my goal now is to be content with whatever I have.
Right.
And to just keep pursuing whatever it is the Lord has for me. Now, if we're talking, dreams, ultimately, I'd like to get to a place where everything's very scheduled. I have 2 retreats. I have 1 conference. My husband is now my manager and business partner. And, it's very, it's very structured, because right now it doesn't feel very structured. I'd like to have multiple programs online. And so I guess ultimately that's where I'm going. I have 1 program online. I would like to have multiple. I do host 2 retreats a year, beach retreats, one in the spring, one in the fall. And then I have what I call the Empowerment Tour coming up. And I have goals for that. I'm trying to no, I don't have a number in mind. I'm letting it go. But that's coming up. And so that's just finding balance of doing what I can, but not have a tendency to overwork. As a 3, we overwork. And so it's to find that balance of, and my husband's great. He's like, cut it off. And he's he's very intuitive. He's like, you gotta stop, because I'll just sit there and just do stuff that's not even productive. And if you're a 3, you understand that. So anyway, but where I'm going is following, I consider breadcrumbs of just, whatever the Lord opens up for me, I will go into it wholeheartedly. Terrified, usually.
That's all right.
People think that I'm not, terrified to do anything. I'm like, what? I'm terrified. I was nervous to come here and have, just a normal conversation,
Some stranger, basically. She's seen me 5 times. So I had to formally introduce myself, guys. So I'm spilling the beans here. But I think you have beautiful dreams and beautiful aspirations, and spiritual path may not be the same, aligned with your dreams. So sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. And you have to do all the work, and I can totally relate because my husband kicks me out from my office saying enough is enough because it's never good enough, and that comes from probably a perfectionist kind of person that it's never good. Yeah, right? That comes from self-worth and all those things that we dealing with other people.
Girls, come to my empowerment tour. Y'all come to my empowerment tour.
Tell me more about that, please, because I was just about to ask you.
It's all about digging deeper. And, I shared, obviously, the mental disorders and being healed from that. And my husband and I have given Lord a run for his money when it comes to our marriage. And I had taken a trauma training class here locally at Space Yoga, and it was all about mental disorders and even some autoimmune diseases, like something like trauma and how that affects your brain, how it affects your body. And so I just immediately started to think about, the bipolar and those things that I've been diagnosed with, and I desperately wanted to know where they came from. Because if I look back at my childhood, which is typically where we all have to go back to, I mean, from what I could see, it was perfect. I mean, my parents are still married. I remember them wrestling on the floor and having a very fun, marriage. They gave us everything we could ever need and most of what we wanted. And so it was just interesting to me, where did that come from? Why was I so rebellious in high school? Why did I do all those drugs? Why? And so I was left with this big question as to why and where it came from. And so I ultimately stumbled on a path of healing again. And I'm like, what? I thought I'd already done all the healing I needed to do. But there's always more healing to be had and always more freedom. Because ultimately freedom's on the other side of healing. And so even for me, after I felt like I had gotten to a place where things are good, things are fine, there's just always more healing. And so I have gone to a weekend retreat, gone through unmet needs from childhood, and so I realized a lot in that weekend. And so I came back and was like, people need to hear this. People need to know this. And so that was the theme for the Empowerment Tour. I've done it 3 years prior. This is the first year. It's in Augusta, Georgia. And so it's all about digging deeper. It will have speakers on body positivity, unmet needs and how that affects your relationship today, toxic relationships, feeling your feelings. I was listening to the lady discuss and talk about that. I'm like, I always just say I'm fine. Like, do I not know how I really feel? I mean, it's interesting. As women, we're either too dramatic or we're cold, and we're not really taught how to feel our feelings. And if I go back to even my childhood, it's, you just gotta, suck it up. You gotta do what you gotta do. And I love that mentality for the most part. But if that's all we're doing is just forget this, how you feel, we're just going to keep moving forward, then at some point you don't even know how you feel anymore. So anyway, that's one of the breakout sessions too. And so we'll have a keynote speaker coming in from Charlotte. She's a psychotherapist coming in to speak on shame and relationships. And it's going to be a powerful, powerful weekend. So we'll have a ton of breakout sessions. They'll be going on all day. We'll also have yoga. All day. We'll have a meditation and prayer room open. So it's just going to be an incredible, incredible time. And I feel like some people have said, I don't do yoga, so I can't come. And I'm like, yoga is just an option. You have to have the option to do yoga or don't have to step on a mat at all. So
that's incredible. Yeah. That sounds, I need to look into the dates. Can you tell us the dates too?
September 28th and 29th. Perfect. So it'll be a Friday evening and then all day Saturday.
That sounds like something, you brought up those points. I feel like I could ask you a million of questions about those. I feel like social media finally opening up a little bit more, and there's a lot of stuff that is not so great about social media because we get, wrapped up in it too much. But there's so many good things that people start talking about trauma and healing and all those things, especially for women, because we have to have that mask of, I'm okay, and I've been doing it for years too. And only certain events of your life can trigger you either get into the rock bottom and then you have to swim up and get your way out of it to heal. And some people still finding their way around trauma instead of through trauma.
Well, because healing's painful.
It is. Yes.
People don't want to feel,
pain.
that pain, and it can be, it can be really tough. And I think, some people will start because it's all exciting in the beginning, and then they hit that wall, or they realize how much pain it's going to be, and they jump ship. They will wall manage, but the thing is that we can push through, if you don't stay in the pain forever, you can push through, and there is just freedom on the other side. It's incredible. So that's what I hope this weekend is going to do. No one's going to get healed in 2 days. But I'm not going to limit, what the Lord wants to do, but ultimately it's to start a conversation. It's to make you kind of dig a little deeper and to look into yourself and see, what areas, am I avoiding, the pain, or what areas do I need?
And sometimes it's those traumatic events, even that they bring people. You probably had those too. You realize that you had a perfect, or what seems to be a perfect childhood, and then you realize I had the same, very, very similar experience. So we're like soul sisters.
Yeah.
My perfect childhood, everything. Parents did everything for me. They lived their lives for my husband, my brother, and I. And but then I realized I've been bullied, and nobody knew about it until I turned 30. All those things started opening up, and then last year I lost my best friend, and that opened up a whole new void of traumatic experience. And it's never ending, but it's not as, I don't see it anymore as I have to go through this painful process. You just have to allow yourself to feel and heal and find help, whether it's a speaker. I often listen to someone, I'm sure you do too, to help yourself. For some people it's prayer, meditation, and all those things. So that's a super exciting event, guys. September 28th, 29th, remember. I'm just have to go get my tickets. I'm
Bethany
excited now.
Smith Yoga under events. You can find it there.
So let's shift gears. I know those are deep things.
Let's lighten it up.
Let's nerd out a little bit on yoga. What kind of yoga do you practice? What's your favorite pose besides from Shavasana?
I know, right? So the broad type of yoga is Hatha yoga. It's the yoga postures. But underneath that, you've got a million variations. I like vinyasa. It's just linking the breath with the movement. I feel it's very dance-like. It can be very flowy. And I think if I didn't teach yoga, I would just learn how to be a dancer. But I do YouTube videos. My girls and I, this is hilarious. We look up YouTube videos on how to dance, and then we rock it out the night. But anyway, I know it's hilarious. You should come over to dance party. But it's vinyasa. I feel like it's very dance-like. But I like power. I like power, and that's what I like. That's what I'm meant towards. So if I'm out of balance, though, like if I am having a stressful day, then I have to force myself to do restorative. I have to force myself to just hold a pose, because I can get in that rhythm and just try to rock it out. And I know what ultimately I need is to balance it out with some restorative. So I love all types of yoga, but I have to stick with power and vinyasa for sure.
We'll have our favorites. I'm still new, so probably those terms are somewhat familiar.
I tried to start you guys out with some restorative yesterday because apparently I killed everyone the day before. And I was like, all right, well, we're going to slow it down today.
That's good. I feel like there's a good chance that you're going to find a piece that you like a lot. I do like vinyasa personally, so I find it's a lot of fun. Speaking about yoga and practice, when do you practice? When do you feel called to practice? I always have this question about yogis. When are they on the mat all the time?
Yeah. Well, there was a time where I was on the mat all the time, it felt like. And I think it's different with different seasons of life. If you have smaller kids, it's probably going to be a little bit more challenging. I don't like to practice in my home because there's just too many distractions there. I'm constantly, you would think my house would be cleaner, but it's not. But I find a million things to do. So I actually come down here to Humans Theory a lot. And so I try to do that in the mornings. It's summer, so I give myself permission to not be so structured. I have to do that because I'll judge myself for not getting on my mat. So took a few summers to be like, screw it. If I don't get on my mat today, it's fine. So I practice typically in the morning, but if I can just get a little bit in the evenings before bed, then that's great. I've tried more to take more classes because I'm such a homebody though. Going out past like 6 is like a big deal for me. So that 7 o'clock class at Oxygen, I'm always like, but so I would say I practice probably 4 to 5 times, a solid practice 4 to 5 times a week. I'm always doing like handstand or something,
I can imagine that.
Or just, I have a Dharma wheel, it's a little yoga wheel. I'm always like rolling on that, which is a practice in and of itself. But when you say practice, I think like a good solid 30 to an hour 15. So yeah.
So if I call you on your cell phone, you're most likely going to be in the handstand talking to me.
Could be.
What gets you up in the morning besides from yoga practice? What is like the first thought or thoughts?
It's funny
about your day.
I was like, I'd love to say something like super like deep and purposeful, like changing lives gets me up in the morning. No, my biological clock or the sun. I
love it.
I am just like up. I don't have to set an alarm. I do set an alarm because I don't trust myself, obviously. But I just wake up 6:50, and it's the summer, and so I love to get up and fix myself my 1 cup of coffee for the day. And most of the times I can crawl back into bed if my husband's awake, but if he's sleeping, I'll go to the couch and. But I'll have my, my devotional, my quiet time, meditation, and so probably that coffee gets me up in the morning. I'm not even like the biggest coffee drinker, but there are some nights where I'm like, I am really looking forward to that cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I know the feeling. That's beautiful. Do you have any? We're talking about more like self-care routines and our practices and our daily things. What is your day like? And do you have a chance to squeeze in? I know yoga might be a self-care. For me, it's a self-care routine.
Yeah.
So that's how it started. How is it for you? How does it work for you? What do you find helps you to get more balance, get centered, get at peace?
Jesus. That was my answer. I'm not just going, Jesus. Like, Jesus, for sure. And I actually posted this, and I was going to recently, because talking about self-care can be an interesting thing because it's such a big thing now. And it is important because, if you can't take care of yourself, you can't effectively take care of other people in your life. And so, but I think our culture has a different answer to self-care because they're trying to make money.
Right, because it's got bubbly baths and,
I get
beautiful.
And I'm not against a pedicure, but what I recently posted was, vacation, sleep, hashtag all the cultural self-care, and all the yoga in the world will not be enough to restore us fully. When unrest is at a soul level, it is untouchable by traditional means. We need an other than kind of power to remedy it. And so I can get caught up in, I'm having a stressful day, I'm going to go get a pedicure, but ultimately that's not going to last. So I feel like my ultimate self-care is just staying as close to Jesus as I can. He's not, God and Jesus aren't figments. I don't feel like they're just above the cloud. It's very personal to me. It is an actual relationship. I talk to them all day. I feel like they speak to me when I'm listening. And so just clinging to that is the ultimate self-care for me. And then pedicures, aloe pants. I totally bought aloe pants yesterday, and I'm an advocate for them. I get so much free stuff. I'm buying these pants right now, and it makes me feel better. So I get it. There's no judgments there, but ultimate rest, ultimate self-care.
That's beautiful, finding those individualized pieces, not only following, this is a bubbly bath and beautiful beverage, a glass of wine for someone, just finding what works for you, and it's not necessarily, it has to be a physical object.
And then restorative yoga, not the power, is when I'm anxious or when I've got too much going on, I need to be still and do some nice stretching, holding poses. So.
You mentioned you pray and you meditate and you find some quiet time. Do you have a chance to read anything, and do you have anything? Because I feel like the empowerment tour, I feel like You must be a reader.
I do read, and a friend of mine just got me the book For the Love by Jen Hatmaker. And I don't know if you've ever read her. She is a riot. I mean, she is hilarious. She just talks my language. She's got such a great sense of humor that I just connect with. So I am currently reading For the Love, but I have like a million books at once. It'll take me forever to finish it because I'm always like reading multiple ones. I'm reading one now that I just found hidden away, pushed back. I'm like, oh, teaching yoga. and now I'm like reading that one again. So I do read. I listen probably to podcasts too a lot. And so, yeah, I read a little. A lot of little, a little bit of a lot of things, I guess you could say.
I feel like you're a learner too because you come into other people's classes. I know many yoga teachers don't even try doing that.
Yes.
Constant learning brings you up to the point where you can share more.
Oh, even that I'll find teachers, online just to take their class, just to get different cues, different perspective. And so I am a learning junkie. I'm a growth junkie. I'm always like #growth junkie. Like I'm always trying to learn, always trying to hone in on my craft, and I love that.
I'm going to put you on the spot because this was not in our email. Do you have a favorite? I just came up with it. It was not in our correspondence. Do you have a favorite funny story or cute story, something empowering or transformational from your yoga practice, from your teaching?
Oh, God. I did not. Well,
you could not share it. I just put you on the spot.
I'm going to do it. Just a funny yoga story?
Sure. I love funny stories.
Okay, I'm just going to do it.
I love you.
I had just had a baby. Okay, I had just had a baby. I'm going to throw that out there. And if you've had a baby, things aren't the same. And so oh God, this is hilarious. If there's a smaller class, you've never experienced this because there's like a million people in that class. But if I have a smaller class, I will give you an assist. And I have 2 squats by your head to give you this assist. And I had, again, just had a baby. I squatted. And I think the word is and a noise came out, and God bless this woman's soul. I know exactly who it is. If she hears this, she's going to be like, that was me. We never spoke of it again, but I was like,
your face shows it all right now.
And I continued to give her the assist and was like, well, Jesus, let that be it just in my head, but it wasn't. So that was like traumatizing.
But it's so funny now.
It is quite hilarious. I do tell it in my teacher trainings. I'm like, listen, things can happen. People will fart in your class. People who just have babies will make other sounds. It's fine. But that's of course, like the first thing that pops into my head. Like the most embarrassing
That's good.
story.
Okay. Now we know everything we need to know about you.
I know. Oh, gosh, so funny. So I clearly wasn't engaging Mula Bandha during this time. So it's a yoga term that people are like, Mula Bandha. It's basically a Kegel, strengthening your pelvic floor, and I had not strengthened it as much as I needed to, apparently.
Should make me cry. You had a baby, so.
I know.
I did notice yesterday in class, I went to class with Bethany yesterday, and music was not playing what you wanted. I felt like, but you stayed so still. I really admire that. I would probably be flipping out. Like,
I've been doing this for a while.
Just turn this off.
I know.
And that's it. That's your music in your head, and we were in silence, and it was.
And before it would have like completely thrown me off. And there were some times there where I was like, what is this? But you just gotta roll with it. I did make sure everyone knew, like, this is not my normal playlist. But then, like, Flow Rider came on, and I'm like, what? Like, this is awesome. So, yeah. That's the thing. Like, you just have to go with the flow.
Yeah. That's, like, it's
the whole theme of yoga. Like, you just gotta go with the flow.
That's beautiful.
To practice what I preach.
Yeah, I would love to keep you longer. I know you have a class coming up. You have to go. any advice you would give to my readers, to people like even like me, I was intimidated and terrified to start yoga.
Yeah.
Even though I became athletic over the years, I still felt this disastrous feeling in my head. I'm not going to be able to do this. Any advice, any general advice when it comes to yoga practice or finding yourself?
Yes. I would say just start. If you've been toying with the idea, like just start. Just do it. And then I will give you all of my teaching tips right now. It does not matter what your pose looks like. It does not matter what anyone else thinks of you in the class. If someone is judging your practice, that's their problem. That speaks volumes of them. Just keep your eyes on your own mat until you've got to look around and see what everyone's doing. But it really is a personal thing. And when people come in, they do feel like they're going to be judged. Mm-hmm. But no one is worried about you.
They're too busy.
They're too busy
being
self-conscious about their own selves, probably, or worried about their own thing. And so I feel like that's, huge. And especially even if you are a current practitioner, it's not about the pose. It's about who you are when you get there. And so you got to tune in to that inner chatter. And if it's full of judgment, or if it's full of you can't do it, people are going to laugh at you, that's your yoga. The first step to your yoga is to just get on your mat. Just show up to the class. Do research, though. Don't go like heated power or, take it easy. Find one that's going to be accessible. But, yeah, just show up and do what you can. And that's the thing. Like, we're all on this planet together. Like, just do the best you can. And don't let fear or what you feel like is an inadequacy keep you from doing what you want to do. Like, don't let fear keep you from doing what you've been called to do or what you want to do. I wouldn't be doing anything right now if I let fear do that. So,
and you're so good at it. You're so good at teaching this. I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom with us, because I feel like you personally, you don't look like you've been married for 13 years. So I can give you that.
I appreciate it.
So we'll talk about your secrets later after go offline.
Yoga.
But I really appreciate you sharing so much wisdom with us today. Where can we find you besides from Oxygen to this?
Bethany Smith Yoga on Instagram, Facebook. My website's bethanysmithyoga.com. And then I'm at the Croc Center in Augusta. I do a restorative class twice a week. And then I teach at Oxygen, and those are the only actual classes I've had to cut a lot out just so I can either focus on events or, private clients. So, but Oxygen and the Croc Center.
And Bethany has an online class.
Yes, so you can find that too. It's Flow to Go on my website.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm really honored to have you and chat with you.
Thanks. This was fun and not as scary as I thought it was going to be.
Not with all your jokes. No.
Yeah, kind of told more than what I was expecting, but fun. Yeah.